Hello everybody and welcome back to Pathfinder Plays. Today I am bringing you a list of 10 tips that I wish I would have known prior to starting Mist Survival. This is a beginner tip video, so some of them you may know already if you've played the Mist before, some of them you may not have. But I would encourage you to listen to some of these tips because they will help you out in the long run. So let's get on into it. Tip number 1. You can use suitcases as extra inventory by filling it up and moving it with the key M. Now, to expand on this, you fill up your inventory quite quickly in the game in the very beginning because you hardly have any inventory space and you don't have a car to store things in, and I'll get into that tip later. But if you go into an area, let's say the motel at the beginning area or the vehicle shop right down the road from what could be your first log house on the main street, there is a suitcase in there. You could easily pick up any item that you want, ranging from car engines to carrots. You can put them all in these spaces in the suitcase. They act just like your personal inventory, and you can press the M on your keyboard to move it, and you can walk it over to wherever your base camp is. Then you can unload everything there. You can either unload it into a storage container, you can use the suitcase as a storage container and put it on the table or the floor, or you can just lay things on the ground. They will not disappear. Tip number 2. You can search cars, just not cars with tinted windows. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, because I've seen some people on YouTube search a car with tinted windows first, not be able to search it, and then automatically assume they're unable to search any other car for a very long time. And they usually figure it out, but that's a lot of potentially missed loot. That's missed food, missed drink, missed car parts in the hood, and a potential to miss a vehicle that you could turn into your own. Tip number 3. If your fatigue gets low, you won't regenerate stamina, so sleep when you need to. A lot of people think, and it's not necessarily their fault because sometimes stamina bars and fatigue bars are useless and they don't really affect gameplay that much, but in Mist Survival, a lot of people think that you can just ignore the fatigue bar or ignore the stamina bar, but both are correlated. If your fatigue gets too low, not only will your stamina stop regenerating quick, it'll stop regenerating altogether, and that's bad, especially if you're left out in the middle of the woods. There's bears, there's zombies, and there's bandits. So if you can't run away, you're kind of SOL, because ammo is kind of a luxury in this game. You have to search high and low for that, and you don't want things hitting you because you get damaged easily, especially if you don't have body armor. So you need to be able to run. So don't think that you can get through this game without resting some nights. You'll get through a day, maybe even 2, but you need to keep that fatigue level high, as in you need to keep the bar level maximum for maximum stamina efficiency. Tip number 4. When you get a friendly artificial intelligence, when you get a friendly AI, a follower, you need to give them weapons to defend your base. Not only do you need to give them weapons, you need to give them food and water as well. They have their own stats. I saw some YouTubers a couple days ago, and they were complaining and yelling at their followers because they let bandits raid their base camp. It's not their fault, because the second they clicked on their inventory, I saw that there was no weapons and no ammo equipped, no body armor, nothing. But if you go to them, there's 2 options. There's you can press number 1, and that opens dialogue options, which as of making this video is not functional because it's in early access and things need to be improved. You could press also number 2, and number 2 is open inventory and equipment. You can equip rifles, shotguns, pistols, American Eagles, and combat knives to your followers, and they will use them. They all have their own independent slots, but you can't just give them their weapons. You have to give them a weapon and sufficient ammo. Now, once you have done that, you also have to pay attention to their stats, and by stats I mean what you have. You have a health level, you have fatigue, stamina, hunger, thirst. They have those same stat levels, so if you're leaving somewhere, be sure to drop by your followers, give them some water and give them some food before you go. Tip number 5. You need to be careful of food poisoning from raw meat, dirty water, and meat that isn't dried right away. Now, there's a lot of games that you're able to eat rotten meat or uncooked meat and be okay, or just suffer a minimal HP health point hit. This is not so in Mist Survival. You will get food poisoning, and this is detrimental to your health. It really is. You will not be able to fill up your thirst or hunger levels, meaning you can't drink to satisfaction, you can't eat to satisfaction, which also means that your stamina level will also be inherently low, because your stamina level also gets raised up by eating and drinking in this game. Food poisoning sucks. So be sure to pay attention to what you eat and what you drink. And tip number 6 is a caveat off this one: collect antibiotics for food poisoning. If you do get food poisoning, it's always helpful to take antibiotics. They do not heal you immediately. Nothing heals you immediately in this game, not even sleeping. There is a timer in which that speeds up, kind of similar to breaking into a door. There's a 3-minute time period that speeds up the game time. Same thing with an injury or an illness. It says 12 hours to healing, and that's 12 hours in game, and it speeds it up by so much time. So always keep antibiotics near you. Tip number 7, and this is one of the most important tips, I believe. Instead of building a workshop, blacksmith, or saw table, simply find an area such as a bandit camp or the farmhouse and build a small shelter there and make it your home. That way you live right next to already built crafting materials, saving you lots of resources. Now, whenever I say temporary small shelter, I'm talking about that small leafy shelter that you initially have when you spawn into the game for the first time. That's what I'm talking about. If you take out a bandit camp where you come across the barn and it has the forge and the blacksmith area, you can just plop down a temporary living area and live there forever. No, technically the barn or the bandit camp won't be your house. Your house will just be inside the facility, but nothing will spawn in there and kill you. You're there, your house is there, and everything outside of a certain parameter won't spawn in it. Now, obviously, nowhere is safe in Mist Survival. There is always the potential, regardless of where you're at, to be raided by bandits, and always at nighttime or time of inclement weather, such as the Mist event, zombies may come out. So there is the potential of even a bandit camp or the barn being hit. But the amount of resources that you'll save by not needing to build a blacksmith, a forge, or saw table, or a workshop is immense. It takes time to gather these resources. Lots of trees to cut down, lots of time making logs into planks of wood, etc., etc. So if you're able to find some place that has these, make it your home. Fortify it with walls, and you're golden. And if you're not able to make it your home for whatever reason, or if you just don't want to, you can take that stuff with you if it's within a reasonable walking distance. You can press M, at least on the workshop, and bring it back to your base. Tip number 8, location of backpacks, guns, and armor. Now, I don't have the specific location for all the backpacks as of yet. However, the general vicinity or general locations where you will find these items are ranger towers. Those towers that you find in bandit camps, or even out in the forest. There's one inside the middle of a bandit camp, and there's also one that I found, multiple ones that I found in forest areas. There's one by the barn house. Each one, bandit camps and ranger towers and residential areas, if not all residential areas, but some residential areas, have backpacks and guns and ammo for that matter. So if you're ever looking for armor, if you're ever looking for guns, if you're ever looking for ammo, food, anything, inventory space with backpacks, instead of searching a million houses, your best bet is to take a quick drive in your car and look for a ranger tower or look for a bandit camp, giving that you actually have some sort of a weapon. Or you could just go in there and try to stealth kill all of them. I have yet to be able to do that successfully. Tip number 9, keep spare car parts in your vehicle trunk. Now, this may seem common sense, but from some of the YouTube videos I have seen, it is not common practice. There are many people who keep their car batteries, spark plugs, engines, tires, what have you, even fuel inside of their base. And these cars, for anybody who has played this game, these vehicles are not the most reliable. Each vehicle part that you gather has a certain health, as in it has a percentage. And the lower that percentage, the worse it is. And those percentages degrade over time, and the more you use it. So the odds of you breaking down in an untimely manner where where you don't want to be is great. So, one way to avoid this or minimize the impact of this on your game is to simply keep all your spare parts inside the trunk of your car. There's plenty of space, at least if you use a hatchback vehicle, to store extra inventory and scavenging materials that you find along your travels, along with your spare parts. So, keep spare parts with you so you don't break down. And finally, tip number 10. And this is one of the most important ones, I think. If you die and you don't want to lose your stuff when you revive, simply exit to the menu and it will load into an earlier save. Now, some of you may be confused, and that's okay. So I'm going to explain it to you for all those who have not played this game. If you die, whether you get killed by a bandit, a wild animal, or an infected, you have two options. You can either revive or quit the game. Those are the only two buttons that are available to you on that screen. If you click revive, you wake up the same day, back at your house. However, you lose a lot of inventory, weapons, tools, food, liquids, it doesn't matter. It's gone. And there's a potential for your base to be raided, all after a single death. I've lost so much inventory that I spent hours searching for in desperation because I got killed and lost it all. So the way that I found to kind of get around this punishing system is to simply save frequently. Every time like an hour or so passes in real life, 30 minutes, however long you play, every time you hit a really large cache of goods, whether it be food, water, guns, ammo, if you hit a landmark such as a ranger tower, save your game. If you clear a house and you killed 5 zombies, save your game. That way, if you get one-shotted by something, if you get shot in the head, if you get mauled by a bear, if you get just destroyed by a pack of wild, ravenous zombies, you can simply just quit the game, come back in, and you'll have all of your stuff. Sure, you'll have to redo maybe 2-3 minutes of gameplay if you do it right, but you'll have all of your necessary equipment. You won't lose anything crucial, and that, I think, is worth it. So guys, these are my top 10 tips for beginners for the game Mist Survival. The reason why I made this is I haven't seen any yet, and I'm actually surprised because this game is not hard to play, but it does get some taking used to, and there are lots of things that newcomers would benefit from. So this was Pathfinder's top 10 beginner tips for Mist Survival. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button, leave some questions in the comments below that you need answered, and I will do my best to help you. If you have a friend or anybody that plays this game, share it with them as well. I love to help people. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Pathfinder out.